Welcome to Advance the Dream, our weekly community chat, where we celebrate legacy makers and family heroes who are actively advancing the dream in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We talk about health, challenges, highlights, and heroes in an intergenerational fashion in hopes that his legacy of hope and equality continue to live on. This weekly series, powered by the Force for Health Network, is aired live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then shared afterwards at advancethedream.com. Now, let's meet our hosts, Force for Health Network co-founders, Dr. Robert Gillio and Lucy Howell, alongside our National Director, Joshua Williams Jr., as we dive into this week's topic.
Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, June 8th. Welcome to our 17th episode of Season 1 called Advance the Dream, an interactive weekly community chat where we focus on heroes, highlights, and issues that have to do with health and wealth inequities for people that care. Of course, all in the spirit and nature of the recent and late and honorable Dr. Martin Luther King. So my name is Lucy Howell. I'm based here in Tucson, Arizona. I'm one of the co-founders of the Force for Health Network, and I'm joined today with our national esteemed coach, advisor director for the Advanced Dream Project channel and community, Mr. Joshua Williams, out of Florida or New Orleans today. Where are you based?
Out of Florida today.
Out of Florida. All righty. And our other partner in crime, Dr. Robert Gillio, is taking a much needed family break. And so he is out celebrating maybe an upcoming birthday. So we'll have to talk about that a little bit later. But if you are new to the show, our goal is really to help share information that will lead to a more culturally empathetic community and really understand that there are differences still, so that this fight towards equity is not over, and there are things that we need to continue talking about, and there is a need to transfer knowledge from generation to generation to generation. So that's kind of my opening thought. June is filled with so much activity with sickle cell awareness and men's health, and it's National Alzheimer's Month and National Safety Month. And we can go through a couple of those videos that actually Rob has prepared, and we'll touch on those. But it's also Juneteenth coming up, and Juneteenth is not necessarily June 19th, which is what a lot of people think, but there are some things to dispel and learn that I learned right from our guest from a couple of weeks ago from Larry Stark. So we'll be learning about that as well. But how are you? What do you bring to the table today? What's on your mind?
Oh, Lucy, it's another day, and it's a good day. Every day is a good day when we're able to get up and see the sunshine, I tell you. But coming today, my stress for this week has been on Men's Health Month, on being able to challenge our men to be more healthy. As you know, I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I'm actually putting out a challenge to all of the men who are in the fraternity to begin to walk and just do some sort of exercise per day. It's a little challenge that I'm putting together called "If you walk 1 mile, I'll walk 2." So I'm trying to get all of my brothers all over the country to maybe join in and participate in the Force for Health app and actually join in and begin to walk. Even if you can't do a mile, just get something in. And it's a big challenge that we're hoping that we can move, learn, earn, and serve as we actually continue to participate and try to get everyone to be a much healthier society.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because honestly, we were built to move, right? You said it, our move, learn, serve, and earn. And yet, why is it so difficult sometimes to just build that in? And I'm guilty, right? You don't have to go jog or run or, really exert yourself, but just
Mhm.
a matter of a daily walk
Hey,
for your
we were talking
mind,
about
body, and soul. Josh, I'm
that.
going to go right up against you, right? It's June 8th,
Mhm.
and let's see how many circles we can complete on our app against each other to go
Mhm.
ahead and get that daily walk in. Every day I wake up, I get my coffee, and I just start working, and I work all the way through. And so, I know what we should be doing,
Mhm.
and I like to educate folks, but honestly, I'm right there with everybody else. You got to plan it, you got to do it, and then you can benefit
And
from it.
how easy is it, Lucy, to actually, we all of us move all day long. We move all day long, but we don't take it in consideration. I was talking to one of the students uh, underneath the You Do Matter program the other day, and they were actually in their office, and they said they never thought about logging the number of steps that they do per day, walking back and forth to the copier, walking around to the conference room, walking. I said all of that counts, and if we begin to count that and keep that as a part of our record, it would it would definitely lead to providing us some much needed activity on our work during our scheduled day.
Yeah, and so let's remind everybody. And you know what? You're frozen, and I'm wondering if you should let me pop you out of the studio, and then I'm going to pop you
Uh,
back in and
like,
see if that
okay.
will help. Let's try that 1 second, and back to the stage.
All right,
Let's
look,
see.
you talk. You continue to talk, and I'll do this.
Okay,
After
got it. And I'm going to go ahead and take you off stage, and when I see you
I'll come
moving
right back.
backstage, I will bring you
Okay,
back up.
no
Okay.
problem.
And so, it is June, and like I said, we will be spending some time talking about sickle cell, but there are some other things going on the month of June. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up a couple of these um, videos that we are ready to. I should have had this pulled up earlier. Let's see. I'll stop share there. Oops. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Geez. I am over to. Okay, so our fearless leader, Rob, is out of town, like I said, but he has prepared our monthly awareness challenge with the 4 things during the month of June that we will be talking about. And so let's go ahead and do this together, right? And let's see, I will keep an eye on Josh as he comes back in. And so this is part of the Force for Health Academy. It is free to join. Of course, there are upgraded premium features if you would like access to our wellness club and our personalized health risk assessments, or if you need to upgrade into a group leader mode. So if you're a teacher or a organization director, community director, there are some really cool tools to be able to help facilitate an online learning classroom or free health academy. But many of these courses are free, and you can earn your badge and earn points. And so this is the June Health Observance Challenge. And let's just do this together. So most of our challenges will have a pre-quiz and a post-quiz. Let's see if Josh is back in here. Yep, perfect. So Josh, let's just go ahead and go through this together, right?
Okay.
And so June observance pre-quiz. And we're going to just quiz you live.
Mhm.
And we will keep an eye on comments to see if anybody's coming in. And so, which of the following causes a painful crisis that can cause permanent injury to part of the body? Sickle cell patient in low oxygen situation, are at risk for blood clots, Alzheimer's patient with a short-term memory issue, have permanent brain damage. An HIV patient that has a mild infection is nothing to worry about, or most accidents cannot be prevented. What would you like to say there? I'm putting you on the spot, aren't I?
Lucy, you're breaking up.
Uh-oh. Am I breaking up?
Yes.
Or are you breaking up? Okay, let's see.
I might be breaking.
We're going to go ahead and go straight through here. So I'm going to go ahead and say sickle cell patient in low oxygen situations can cause permanent injury to the body. Next, which of the following can you catch from another person? Let's go ahead and go with HIV, assuming that I am not breaking up and that Josh, you are still with us. Yes.
I am. Yes,
Yes.
I hear you now. I hear you now. Yes.
Okay, got it. Your video is still locked though. Let's
Oh,
keep
okay.
going. Next. How confident do you feel about your understanding of this month's health issues? I feel good. See, Rob did this quiz. I'm not sure why that's like that, but let's keep going. So this was really just a pre-quiz. And so it will not show the answers. I reached 2 out of 2. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and continue. So since it is June, let's go ahead and kick it into gear with Alzheimer's. And we won't do all of these videos today, but this is a huge, important one, right? Dementia prevention, brain health, Alzheimer's is huge. So we're going to go ahead and watch this, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay?
If I forgot why I'm here doing this video, it might be that I might have some early dementia, maybe Alzheimer's disease. I have notes though that's helping me. Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Gillio, Chief Medical Officer of the Force Health Network. And as part of our national observances, it's time to think about Alzheimer's awareness. I wasn't joking at the start. I often, and many people often forget a name or why they went into the kitchen or what they were looking for, or where are my car keys, and can you call my phone? That's not necessarily Alzheimer's, but it may be an early warning sign to think about if it continues and progresses. 1, let's just understand 5 key concepts. Understanding Alzheimer's is very important. It's the most common cause of dementia, characterized by memory loss, cognitive decline, and behavioral changes. Particularly affects older adults, but it is not a normal part of aging. It is a much more rapid advancement of what is a normal mild dementia as one gets older. So a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. Early signs and symptoms. Recognized early signs and symptoms can lead to an early diagnosis and intervention. Common symptoms include memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning and solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks, confusion with time and space, and a change in mood and personality. If you or a loved one are experiencing the symptoms, it's important to consult a healthcare provider. Third, the importance of early diagnosis. Early diagnosis has been shown to have ways we can significantly improve the quality of life in those affected. It allows individuals to access treatment that may help manage symptoms, particularly in getting patients into clinical trials. This is how we make discoveries of what helps. It also helps provide time for families to plan and seek support services. 4, treatment and management. While there are currently no cures for Alzheimer's, various treatments can help manage the symptoms and improve the quality of life. Medications can temporarily improve symptoms or slow their progression. Additionally, lifestyle changes such as a healthy diet, regular physical activity, regular sleep schedule, and cognitive stimulation can support brain health. Support groups and counseling can also provide emotional and practical assistance to patients and caregivers. 5, support the caregivers and help reduce the stigma. The caregivers are playing a vital role, and it's hard on them. They have a responsibility that is overwhelming sometimes. Give them a break. Help them have a break. Help them manage their own physical and emotional care for themselves. Reducing stigma also helps a great deal and allows people to have awareness, understanding, and empathy. Educate yourself about the disease and join us by having an awareness of Alzheimer's and associated issues. One of the things I'd like to do, if I could at this point, is to share my screen and just show in the Human 360 of what we're doing with Alzheimer's regarding the brain. This brain, inside of the 360, there's about 80 models of normal anatomy and human anatomy, such as a brain. Let me go over to this brain. And I want you to notice the distances between the gyri and sulci in this brain. They're tight. There's not a lot of space. If we move inside the brain, the various chambers and portions of the brain are not devoid of brain tissue and filled with fluid. If we look at a person with an Alzheimer brain, go to full screen and explore this a little bit further, we can see that there's a wider sulci, these separations of the various portions of the brain, these various roles of the brain. And if we go to the next one and show a cross section of the brain, it shows large voids of space just that are filled with fluid in the brain, including the areas of the brain, the ventricles that normally are fluid filled. These tend to be much larger. This shows a shrinkage in the brain as such. I hope that's helpful to you. My number one encouragement, if in doubt, seek help. And secondly, stigma. Don't judge, support others. Be aware of Alzheimer's, and thank you for being a force for health.
You know, it's always amazing how Rob breaks it down in that way. And I always end up learning something, right? I had no idea that Alzheimer's had something to do with the spacing of the folds in the brain.
In the brain, yeah.
That's really.
I actually was looking at that earlier this week from the standpoint of just dealing with my dad. I was trying to think of things that we can do locally as lay individuals to actually support, just like Doc just stated, supporting these people, not judging them or anything, supporting them. And one thing that I thought about, I said, you know what? My dad keeps his cell phone, but I never thought about tracking his Gillio, putting the tracking on his phone, just in case something did happen. It's just small things like that we can do to try to enhance our ability to support our elderly as it relates to them going through those type of situations.
Yeah, and another thing that I learned in the course of content creation and then just really trying to meet these knowledge gaps that we're feeling ourselves, right? I mean, Rob went into surgery last year, and he is a Mayo trained physician. His wife is, come from the nursing side. His daughters are doctors and surgeons, and yet he still felt a little not prepared to think of the checklist as you're going into surgery, or maybe the checklist for the family, because health is a family affair, right? We say that all the time, fit family force. And so it's out of our own needs that we're creating this content in the hopes that if it's helpful for us, it's got to be helpful for everybody else.
Yep.
And in one of the senior force, and maybe I'll find it here a little bit later, but in one of the senior force series, there's a little 3-minute video. And it has to do with seniors like structure, right? And so as they get older and their brain uh, capacity just diminishes a little bit, a lot if you are going into dementia and Alzheimer's, less so if not. But they like their structure. So, for example, if I go over to my dad's house, my dad's 78, and I think I'm going to do him a favor by cleaning up for him and just putting things away. Well, in my mind, that's doing him a great service.
Yes.
And in his mind, it's driving him nuts.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, just something as simple as that. So that's why I love doing what we're doing, is because every day I continue to learn how I could be a better force for health for myself, but then also as I reach out and care for my dad, and then, understand how I can help my kids be more rounded as well.
Yeah.
So your dad has dementia?
No, but
Okay.
we can tell as age progresses, because he's 70, he's going on 79.
Right.
As you get older, of course, your memory is going to start to fade a little bit anyway. So, just being prepared and stuff of that nature is a good way to be, especially in this space today.
And I think that we will come back perhaps next week or the following week to capture the rest of June with a neurologist and a brain expert, so we can really dive into this. My dad is 78 as well, so about the same age, and he remains to be one of the most intelligent, smartest people I've ever known. I mean, he did the missile systems guidance for AMRAAM, for Hughes Aircraft, and so the complexity of how the brain has to work when trying to code, books of code is crazy. And he sets a high bar for himself. And so he gets frustrated when he forgets, right? He'll be like, oh, I went upstairs and I forgot what I came upstairs for. I just think I'm losing it. I'm like, Dad,
Yeah.
I'm 55. I'm like almost 30 years younger than you. And I do that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So where does that line sit into where it's starting to be problematic or not?
Yeah. It is so good to begin to understand that, Lucy, like we're talking about it now. Some of the same thing that you're talking about, you're experiencing, I experienced the same thing. So it's not anything that's really distance or far out of reach. It happens to all of us. And all of us have to look at these situations. So everything that we're sharing is hopefully to motivate and move people into understanding and appreciating the health situation that's in America today.
And, I call myself a baby senior because I'm 55. And, I do think that generationally that this generation of 50-year-olds are generally speaking, healthier than in the past. Now, although we have an obesity crisis now that we didn't have 30, 40 years ago. So there's some caveats about what I'm going to say. But generally speaking, most of my friends who have been able to play, and I'm talking for women also, we really are the first generation that had sports, available to us. It was good to exercise. I could go 10 years back, and that wasn't the case for the generation of women before. I mean, men didn't even want us in marathons because they thought that, our insides would jiggle too much. So, I do see so many of my friends just still looking as gorgeous and beautiful as they did, 20, 30 years ago. But as we lean into our, second half of the fifth decade and into our 60s, there are things that we could do to, light up the brain. There's dendrites in the brain that when you spark them, they will get stronger. And so the research on it is incredible. So I think let's go ahead and mark this down so we can get some experts in here. Say, how can we really train the brain? at the Force for Health, we've got crossword puzzles and matching games and all different things to kind of spark, responsiveness, and we call it train the brain games. And they're saying that there is a way to delay the onset of dementia by concentrating on things like, I'm trying to think of the Sudoku puzzles, right?
Yeah.
Or just
Something more than Facebook.
So anyways, there's fun, cool games over at the Force for Health crossword puzzles, and you're learning about your health at the same time. And so then the other thing that I wanted to just go over really quickly is, let's go back to so that was Alzheimer's, right? Let's start leaning into sickle cell, because yesterday we were able to. Well, first of all, it's Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Coming up is June 19th, which is World Sickle Cell Day, and it is a condition that has a propensity to show more in darker skin and African American families. And so, and you mentioned this thing about stigma earlier, Josh, and that was really the topic of this event that we did yesterday, alongside the Red Cross for Southern Arizona. They helped co-host what they called a Sickle Cell Advancing Together event. And it was both an in-person with about maybe 50, 60 people showed up, and then it was online with maybe 20 or 30 people showing up. And it was an opportunity for us to actually officially launch the app that we built for them called the 360 SCD Hub. And so it's perfect timing. Let's go ahead and share this really quickly. Let's go stop the screen, and we're going to present the screen over here. And I'm just going to press play so we can kind of watch this, and then we'll set the stage for what we want to talk about. So that was, we're excited about this because this is one of our first white labeled versions of our Health Academy that was done specifically for a disease condition and to unify and empower the ecosystem of those who care about sickle cell, whether you're living with sickle cell, right? If I kind of come up here, make this a little bit bigger for you, whether you are living with sickle cell, whether you are part of the medical community. So let's just stop right here because this was a big part of the conversation yesterday. Here in Arizona, which is very different from where you're at in Gadsden County, we're like almost exact opposite. I think here in Arizona, we've got about 4% African American. I think it comes in at 3.8. I think it's just like us Asians. I'm part Filipino, right? So Arizona is almost 40% Hispanic, white, and then we've got our African American Asians. Now let's go to Gadsden County, right there where you're at in Florida. I think you are the highest per capita African American county in the country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's very different. So I'm hoping that the medical community in Gadsden is very aware of sickle cell, so that if somebody comes into the emergency room complaining about a pain, that there are questions that they are conditioned to ask, so that they might be able to recognize that on a more regular basis than perhaps rural white. Now, Rob, I say this, and this is part of the show, people, is that we get to talk about black, white without being political, or starting some type of conflict. It is what it is. Our partner, Rob Gillio, is a white male in rural Pennsylvania, and readily admits that he can go his whole career and not see a sickle cell patient. And so that's why he also is very passionate about making sure that the medical community knows about this condition, the disease, and maybe how they would approach quality of care a little bit differently if they were just a little bit more knowledgeable about it. And we've taken this through some pretty rigorous testing out here in Arizona, and also had some folks come in on the testing process. And everybody agrees that there is definitely room to continue improved dialogue and communications about this disease for everybody. And, and then maybe you're just part of the general public, right? And maybe your friend has it, or maybe, somebody that has it, or maybe you just want to learn. I've learned so much on this project about what it really is. And so now I can be more knowledgeable and share. And one of the things that I've taken over this, I'm going to go up here. I'm not even logging in. Notice that without even logging in, you have access to courses, whether you are living with healthcare or general community. The good thing about logging in, though, is that it will track your learning and it'll give you points, and you've got access to health trackers and things. But before we go ahead and log in, I'm just going to come over here to this virtual library here, and there's some great resources here. And this is the event that we were talking about yesterday. And this was wonderful. It was held in, the first school here in Tucson for African American students, the Dunbar Pavilion. So there was a sense of history around it. We had some incredible partners come in. We did some reflections. We were able to actually handhold and activate people into the app. And Josh, you'd love this. We actually gave away 3 $100 gift cards as people activated and took advantage of some of the challenges that we threw out there. Like the first person to activate in and go, post a picture and their takeaway will win $100. And it was awesome. And I love it because I'm going to share with you who won that when I share some pictures here coming in. But this is Moses. He is our fearless leader. His son had sickle cell, passed away. Moses is from Nigeria, but he's always had this vision, and he just opened it up with this this graphic, because back in 2017, it just kind of came to him. He just wanted to put it on a kind of a graphic, and it was really, working together for all and a common purpose for all, and then to be able to kind of connect, the community that way. And he's very passionate. I mean, he was almost like tearful with pride and joy that we've been able to come so far. So, fast forward to 2023, this is last August when we got hired by the Sickle Cell Foundation to go ahead and create this app. Now, I say app, this is a HRSA funded app, but as we built this, we built it in such a way that it's also available on the computer, right? Because a lot of people, I know I if I don't have to look at a phone, I don't want to. I want a big
Mhm.
screen in front of me. So anything that you do on the app, they can do on the computer as well. And then we go right into what we actually were able to launch. This went through testing in the February-March time period. It's kind of been soft launch since then, but really yesterday was the big announcement into the community. And so we are really looking for people to start using it and get the feedback now, which was great. Part of the leadership team here with Moses and Sarah and Rob and I, our partners, of course, we kind of went through. That's one thing about the state of Arizona, is that it is so beautiful and easy to connect. We only have 17 counties and 22 tribal nations, where like maybe other states have 60 or 70 counties. I mean, so it's the size of Arizona with about 6 million people. It's, if you got Phoenix, Flagstaff, and Tucson, you've got a nice big bulk of partners there coming in. And again, it's got resources, peer groups, tools and trackers, education development, and some interactive stuff. Now, if I were to go to this screen, I'm going to stop share here and just log in. I just wanted to go ahead and for some reason my share screen is working very strangely today. Okay, so I'm logged in now, right? So this is the computer version, and I like this model right here that I threw in the side widget. I'm just going to make it big. So really, this is a great illustration of healthy blood flow, right? And I could stop it for a second. And again, if you join the Force for Health Academy, right now we are including all of the 360 models in the free basic membership. So it's a great time to sign up, which means that you have access to this kind of stuff. You're actually learning about the type, the pieces of the vein and the body. By clicking on it, I can hide it. I can say, like, what is that? Tuna Coke, I'm going to hide that. Or I can just go ahead and, reset everything. But if I go to the next deal, this is what happens. So when you have, misshapen cells, they are more likely to get clogged.
Yeah.
Right? And this is called thrombus and radial artery occlusion. And this is what happens in sickle cell patients. And so, when that happens and blood flow is decreased, then obviously there's pain crisis and potentially, a diminishing part of the body. I mean, so I do not represent the medical community as we speak here at all. Rob is our chief medical officer. I am simply Main Street, a mom who just wants to be as health literate as possible for myself and for the family and for our friends. But don't you think that just that screen alone does so much? So that if we are thinking about helping people understand that you can't catch sickle cell, right? It's not contagious. And if your friend has it, it's because both of their parents had the trait and it got passed down. And this is what happens. And so it's so important to stay hydrated, right? You can see right there, wow, the more hydrated, then the more fluid your blood is, and the less likely you are to have that kind of induced thrombus, artery occlusion. If it gets cold, what happens? Everything constricts and something can happen. If you have a high stress situation, something can happen. So there's things that can be done to reduce the likelihood of pain crisis. But one thing that I took away from yesterday's meeting, so let's just go ahead and show one more thing here. as we are. So I'm going to come out of this, if I can remember.
You know, Lucy, seeing this like we're seeing it and you're displaying it to us right now,
Yep.
it is a learning process. Like I said, this is absolutely amazing to be able to see this and be related back to what is actually happening. Because sometimes we don't get a chance to actually really look at this like this. Because like I said, you know, I am medical personnel, but to be able to see this, it really makes us appreciate what we're looking at and how the body is active and how it's portraying itself.
And again, this 360 SCD Hub app and platform is free, right? So you're going to see a very similar layout over here as with the Force for Health Academy. And so these are just some of the courses in here. Family basics, you know, what you need to know. But in our 360 Human Explorer Challenge, you know, there's all sorts of, there's some interesting ones about the eye. I think Rob did this on our show a couple weeks ago, right? On the difference between a subconjunctival hemorrhage, right? Versus a retinal detachment. And you'll notice also as these come up, if you see a little guy right here, this little thing, that means there's actually a quiz. There is a interactive quiz. So it's fascinating to look through these models, right? And actually see when somebody talks about a right retina, you know, that's the retinal attachment actually coming off. So that's super dangerous, and that can affect, although, and if we took the quiz on this, on the model of the eye, please find the retina, which is now torn away and has detached. Well, if I click over here, but I'm going to click right here. No, I'm going to just click right here. Okay, submit. Yay, we got it right. Next question. Which of the following can be complications of sickle cell patients in the eye? Retinopathy with blockages of vessels, growth of new vessels, hemorrhage in the whites of the eyes, blurred vision floaters, all of the above. Well, this isn't really a touch and select, but I'm just going to say all of the above because I believe that all of that can happen. So that was just a simple 2-point quiz, and you could see the summary if you'd like. You could even download, if you wanted to share it with somebody, the results, and you'll see that the downloaded PDF looks something like this, right? Or you could take it again until you get 100. One of the challenges that we will be launching with the summer's Reality Health Games will be the 100% Human Explorer Challenge, to where we're challenging people to go through a set of these types of challenges and take them until they get 100, download the quiz, upload them for points. Right.
Speaking from the standpoint of someone who has actually went through that process, Lucy, I can say, because I had retina detachment surgery as well. And Doc gave me that to look at as I was going through it. And it was very, very helpful for me to really understand what the surgeon was talking about once he started explaining it. So it does pay to actually have access to this Human 360 program through the Force for Health. So, you know, we challenge everyone to actually join in and participate and learn as much as you possibly can. I'm sharing it with our students now, and You Do Matter, to get them more acclimated to actually learning about their body.
Thank you for saying that. I love it, because I truly believe that, you know, the knowledge is power, and the body is the body. I don't care what skin wraps it, what color the skin that wraps it, but a body is a body, right? And so thanks for confirming what we think, which is the more you know, the more you will feel empowered. right now, before we go into then the last segment here, in our news feed up here, you'll kind of scroll down and you'll see some of the folks that participated in our challenge yesterday, which was, post, download and post, and what your takeaway is. I love that. SCD is not a negative. It's a superpower. Moses always says, you've got to love SCD. You've got to love it. You got to love it so that then you can know it and then you can manage your life to it, right? It's not a disease. It is simply a genetic condition of which then you have to live with. But I'm coming down here and loading a couple more here and looking at these photos. So this was just kind of going through, and that's Moses and Akila. We have great support from Banner Health in the house. In fact, Courtney with the Red Cross. And then easily, that was just set up on the table, so you could just QR code to the App Store for easy. They gave away T-shirts. And again, it was like in this historic Dunbar. There was a 5-year-old little girl who had sickle cell. And because her mama played the game, they won the $100, which I was just very excited about. So that was cool.
Okay. Yes, great.
Okay, so takeaway is that you cannot catch sickle cell. Okay, it is not contagious, and we really want to help alleviate some of the stigma around sickle cell. And when patients with sickle cell can start recognizing that other people are more aware about it, then hopefully they'll relieve some of that pressure on themselves, because we really want to knock that stigma part away from it. Final thoughts on sickle cell, and then we'll go into Juneteenth basics.
I'm challenged from the standpoint of finding out what my county's sickle cell rate is. That's something I will start on Monday, trying to find, since we are one of the largest African American counties definitely in the state of Florida and foremost in the country. But it's amazing to know exactly, because I don't, as much as you're talking about it and as much as you have shown us what took place this past weekend, I don't see that happening in my county. The awareness, I don't see the awareness there. So I'm very taken and driven to find out what that rate is, especially since we are a hugely overwhelming African American population.
Well, Josh, if you can rile up the troops and perhaps host an event like the Dunbar region did, we are happy to help host a welcome and activation, session for you guys. I know that the Sickle Cell Foundation of Arizona is directly tied to the Arizona Department of Health. So, and I don't quote me on this, but as per a certain year, and I think this is 12 or 15 years ago. So if you were older than maybe 18 or 20 years old, perhaps you weren't screened at birth. But now you are screened at birth. All babies born in the state of Arizona are screened at birth. And if there is a sickle cell indicator, then that information gets sent to the Sickle Cell Foundation of Arizona. So that's a nice, right, and tight, process in place. So now, with a 4% African American population here, those numbers are going to be much smaller than in Gadsden. So my challenge to you, leader, is figure out if that is also in play. I do believe it is a national mandate to do these types of newborn screenings at the State Department. So let's figure out who is the equivalent to the Sickle Cell Foundation of Arizona in Gadsden County. Because this app is, it's not like, oh, it's Arizona, I can't join. No, this was built to support the ecosystem, and sickle cell is the same in Gadsden as it is in Peay County.
True.
Right. So that's my challenge out to you, partner.
Gotcha.
Okay?
No, considering that.
Awesome. And then I also think that one of your cohorts, alumni for You Do Matter, was a sickle cell mama and daughter, or actually the daughter had sickle cell, and the mama then did some modifications to
Exactly.
some traditional meals that they loved as
Yes,
a way to manage and
exactly.
reduce pain crisis. We need to.
I talked to them this past week. They're out of town this week, so I wasn't able to get them this week, but they will be coming on. Mama
Okay.
and Dora, they will be coming on.
Okay, that is awesome. So let's go into then our last segment, which is Juneteenth. So we had, let's see if we've got, yeah. So Larry Starks was on the show. I don't even remember. It was a couple of wees ago. He's the president of the Tucson Juneteenth Festival. Good friend of mine, also runs the Tucson Omega Sci-Fis. I always say that backwards. Sci-Fis. And I was challenging you and Rob also, go into your backyard and see how your communities are celebrating Juneteenth. And when we asked him about it, you know, he kind of dispelled a myth. And I thought that it was so important that I just want to play his little 4-minute segment again, so we can relearn it, reshare it, and then we can kind of come back and talk about it. So let's go ahead and get that done.
Introducing Larry Starks, the Tucson Juneteenth Festival Executive Director and Tucson Omega Sci-Fi President, to talk about Juneteenth basics.
So like I said, here, I can give you a Cliff's Note version, but with the amount of time that I have, hopefully it will engage other conversations. So everyone, well, not everyone, but the Emancipation Proclamation was written in 1863 by Lincoln, but the words read, freeing slaves in the southern states. A lot of people don't understand that. It said it's going to free the slaves in the southern states. So in being in Texas, what their thought process is, we're not going to abide by these orders. There was a lot of southern states that said, we're not going to abide by these orders. We're going to keep these people enslaved. So after Lincoln was assassinated, it still had to happen that the emancipation had to be followed. So the troops found out that there were still people being held in southern states as slaves. So General Gordon Granger took it upon himself and took upon him about 2,000 or 3,000 soldiers, including a lot of black soldiers, to go and free these enslaved people. Texas just happened to be the last state that they encountered. But here's the thing about going to Texas. Those last slaves were, I'm gonna call them free people because they weren't slaves, they were actually free people who were being enslaved. So Galveston, Texas is on an island. What people don't know is that there were slave owners from Louisiana and some other southern states who actually tracked their slaves to Galveston to hold them there so that they would not be free. So these troops had to travel these thousands of miles. And then when they get to Galveston, it's like, well, dang, it's on the island. How do we get there? They got to get on boats. They can't just get their horses and ride across the water. So they had to strategically get there. And what people also don't understand is there were small wars. They had to have wars to free these people. That's the important part, is that the slave owners in Texas said, you know what, we're not going to, but the United States government said, you know what, yes, you are. We're going here and we're going to free these people because you are in violation of the law. That's when Gordon Granger got on the boat, got across to Galveston. There was over 250,000 people still being enslaved in Galveston, Texas. They had to kill, put it in short, kill some of the slave owners to say, no, you're going to free these people. And that's what happened in short notes. There's a lot of other things, like I said, I can get into, but the real thing is this, think about it. After these people were freed, after they were freed and off this island, they got together and said, you know what, we're going to go branch out. We're not held anymore. Some of them even stayed. You know why? They offered them, the slave owner said, well, you can stay here. You don't have anywhere else to go. You can just stay here and work for free. Well, been doing that for hundreds of years. Some of them decided to stay. Others left. And they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to branch out in a year. We're going to come together and see where everybody's at and what you're doing. And within that year, when they came back together, they put on their best clothes. They had on suits, ties, and they ate food that reason why we have the big food thing is because they ate food that they couldn't normally eat. They ate the best parts of the pig, the best parts of the cow. They drink a drink that they couldn't normally drink, which is we call it red Kool-Aid, but they normally just drink water. So they celebrated in things they couldn't do. The reason they wore their Sunday best clothes is they couldn't do that even sometimes at funerals. The only way they could do that is when they was going into the master's house. So they put on their best clothes to come back to celebrate. Now, me, if you're in prison for 2 years and someone say, oh, well, you shouldn't have been here for these 2 years. You were supposed to go. I'm going to be mad as hell. And they'll tell them what I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to have a barbecue. I'm probably not going to, but they came back together to celebrate. And that's why we celebrate with them, that they came back.
Darn it. Not sure what happened there. Let's see. Uh-oh. Interesting. Let me go ahead and add him back.
Yeah.
To finish. Sorry about that. Gotta love the technical difficulties on live. Well, here's the thing is that, that is on our Force for Health Academy. If you watch that video, it's all of like 5 minutes, then you will earn a badge and you will earn your Juneteenth basics. And so really, we are taking this month to recruit group leaders and those folks that want to come in and start and really get engaged, right? To play this game called Reality Health Games. And we've got these certain little chapters in these leagues. Advance the Dream is one set of content. So if you care about African American, or Advance the Dream, I have to stop saying that, is so much more than just about African American health. It really is looking at the inequities and the disparities of health across the board. So whether that's socioeconomic based, or color of skin based, those are really the things that Martin Luther King really wanted to put out there. And I don't mean to speak on that behalf, so please correct me if I'm wrong. To be honest, Josh, a lot of people might think, what is Lucy doing trying to promote Martin Luther King and Advance the Dream? She's not a Black woman, and I keep saying, listen, I'm married to a Black man and my kids are Black and I care. And there is a place for all of us who care about this topic to come in and work together, right?
I was about to say that same thing. It's not only just a Black thing as it relates to Dr. King, because Dr. King had as many white supporters as he did on the Black side as well. So it was just people who wanted to see the right thing being done. That's what we're about. People who all have this same general goal of doing the right thing for the right reasons. Yeah.
And, and again, since we're so new and we're still trying to get folks to learn about the foundation of what we're doing, it reminds me, and it's just so beautiful how the world works that I'm sitting here across from you, Josh, because as we look at this picture in the back of us, right, things don't just happen. Things happen because a small group of committed people get together and make things happen. So how old were you when you were brought in as a mentee to the Alpha Phi Alphas and you got to watch what actually was required to get land to?
At 19, yeah.
You were 19 years old. That's right. And I think that's why you are such an incredibly passionate mentor. Now, why you feel so obligated and compelled to help the youth is because you got to take this incredible ride, right, with the seniors of Alpha who actually walked alongside Martin Luther King. Your Alpha brothers who are in their 70s and 80s, and then just thought it was too important to, we've talked about it, right? And we will continue to talk about it because it's so important to transfer that knowledge from one generation to the other.
Yes.
Okay, so it is 9:01. Final thoughts. So we got to talk about sickle cell awareness. We got to talk about Alzheimer's, and then we got to talk about really, the Juneteenth is kind of when, they came and they freed the slaves. And that's not it. There was like deeper layers of our not so pretty history, right? That surrounded that. And then it was really the celebration of those coming back, and being able to celebrate being together as
You know,
as really the
Lucy, Larry Starks coming on and really explaining that piece, it was very, very informational, definitely for me, because I wasn't aware of the actual historical preference of Juneteenth. And I was so glad to be a part of that.
And that's you.
Mhm.
That's someone like you who's in the mix right there, so close to,
Yep.
you know, African American history and the legacy makers alongside that. So again, if you're in Tucson, Arizona, or if you want to come on out to Tucson, Arizona, you know, I don't know what your community is doing for Juneteenth, but I will go ahead and encourage, if you are in a community that celebrates Juneteenth with a big community festival, then show up. It is a celebration of food and culture and leadership in the community. And I said to you, you know, I think last week, Josh, you know, as we put these KPIs together for healthy community scorecard,
Mhm.
one of the two of the KPIs that I think indicate a well-balanced, collaborative, healthy community is A, how do they celebrate Martin Luther King Day,
Mhm.
right, on January 15th, and how do they celebrate Juneteenth? Those two things right there would be indicative of the pride and the collaboration and the state of kind of the union in terms of racial relationships in the community. I think, but I could be wrong. If you disagree with me, you know, let's see. We've got a comment in here. Let's see what the comment says before. Okay, will there be a recording of it? I can't say, but would love to listen to it all. Well, thank you so much, Evelyn. Absolutely, there is a recording. It will stay live on LinkedIn and it will stay live on YouTube and Facebook. So thanks for commenting, and hopefully next time you can join us live with a comment and we can interact with you. So thanks for participating. So yes, I get to brag about my team upgrader Tucson. I feel like I'm the coach of my community as we bring these people together and get them engaged and to move, learn, serve, and earn. And we're going to beat you guys in Florida, and we're going to beat Rob's team in Pennsylvania when we start really getting to play this game here. Okay. So final thoughts. It's Men's Health Month. So if you are married to a man, if you've got a grown son, you know, really encourage them to at least walk daily, move, right? Yes, you can get your steps by working, but you know, there's something magical about a walk, especially if it's out in nature and it's just, you know, mindful. Maybe you walk and talk with a buddy, right? Or maybe you just walk and you listen to some of the things from Force for Health. I am a music person, so I just go through 3 to 5 of my favorite songs and with my doggy, and I'm good to go. But I'm challenging you, Josh. I will step up to the plate, and we'll see if we can fill in our little, you know, dots on our virtual wellness app for daily walking. Okay.
My circle is being locked more and more each day. So I just want to let you know that you're in for a challenge.
Okay, bring it on.
Mine is I'm up to 7,500 steps a day.
Okay, well, and that's really where I set my goal. That 10,000 is always a stretch, and I just feel like a loser. And so, yeah, I'm going to put it in on 7,500. I'm going to track my cardio too. So, you know, there are steps that will count into the app, especially if you wear a wearable. But our apps are designed that if the phone is on your body, it will count your steps without a wearable. And again, that's with our virtual wellness deal. And so have a wonderful week. If you're in Arizona, stay hydrated because it's supposed to be a triple digit type of week. And when I say triple digits, I'm not talking this 106, 107 stuff. I'm talking like 110, 111, 112 stuff. As I was driving to our deal yesterday, having this great thought, I looked down at the radio and it was 1:11 p.m. and 111 degrees. So I actually captured that. I'm an angel number type of person. So, I mean, that just kind of like a nice spark of like everything is right and tight in the world and universe. So. Okay, well, have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining, Josh. And we appreciate you. Advance the dream, be a force for health. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.